The clock is ticking for all of us. Every second that passes brings us closer to the inevitable end. But what if I told you that there are 7 individuals walking among us or waiting in hidden places who will never taste death? Not in the way you and I will. These 7 souls have been chosen, preserved and protected by divine decree to remain alive until the very end of time. Their stories are woven into the fabric of Islamic eschatology, and their existence challenges everything we think we know about mortality. Some are prophets, some are warriors, and one is a mysterious figure whose identity has sparked debate for over 1,000 years. They are scattered across the earth and the heavens, waiting for the moment when the final trumpet will sound and the day of judgment will arrive. If you're intrigued by this mystery, if you want to understand who these 7 are and why they've been granted this extraordinary fate, then make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you never miss content like this. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching this video from right now? I'd love to know where in the world you are as we explore these timeless truths together. Let's begin with the most well-known among these 7, Prophet Isa, known in Christianity as Jesus, peace be upon him. His story is one of the most profound in Islamic tradition, and it diverges significantly from what many people in the West have been taught. According to Islamic belief, Prophet Isa was never crucified. The Quran explicitly states that while it appeared to people that he was killed on the cross, he was not. Instead, Allah raised him up to the heavens, body and soul, where he remains alive to this day. This is not a metaphorical ascension. This is a physical, literal preservation of his life. The Quran says in Surah An-Nisa, verse 157 to 158, "And they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him, but it was made to appear so to them. And indeed, those who differ over it are in doubt about it. They have no knowledge of it except the following of assumption. And they did not kill him for certain. Rather, Allah raised him to himself." But his mission will not end there. After defeating the Dajjal, Prophet Isa will establish a reign of peace and justice. He will break the cross, symbolizing the correction of false beliefs about his crucifixion, and he will abolish the jizya, the tax paid by non-Muslims under Islamic rule, because by that time, the truth of Islam will be so evident that there will be no excuse for disbelief. His time on earth will be a golden age, a period of unprecedented prosperity and harmony. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that during this time, wealth will be so abundant that no one will accept charity because everyone will have more than enough. The earth will bring forth its blessings, and even predators and prey will coexist peacefully. Eventually, after fulfilling his mission, Prophet Isa will live out his natural life on earth, marry and pass away like any other human being. But until that moment comes, he remains alive in the heavens, preserved by Allah, waiting for the appointed time. The second figure who will never see death until the end is Al-Khidr, one of the most enigmatic characters in Islamic tradition. His story is found in Surah Al-Kahf, the chapter of the cave, where he appears as a mysterious servant of Allah who possesses knowledge from the divine presence. The Quran does not explicitly name him, referring to him only as a servant from among our servants to whom we had given mercy from us and had taught him knowledge from our presence. But Islamic scholars and commentators have identified this figure as Al-Khidr, a name that means the green one, possibly referring to his association with life, fertility, and eternal vitality. The story of Al-Khidr is introduced through his encounter with the prophet Musa, or Moses, peace be upon him. Moses, who was one of the mightiest prophets, was once asked if there was anyone more knowledgeable than him, and he said, no. Allah then gently corrected him by revealing that there was indeed a servant who possessed knowledge that Moses did not have. Moses set out to find this mysterious figure, traveling with his young servant until they reached the junction of the two seas, a location whose exact geography remains debated but is believed to be a place where two bodies of water meet. There, Moses finally encountered Al-Khidr, and he humbly asked if he could accompany him to learn from his wisdom. Al-Khidr agreed, but with one condition. Moses must not question anything he does, no matter how strange or troubling it may seem, until Al-Khidr himself chooses to explain. Moses agreed, but as the journey unfolded, he found it nearly impossible to keep his promise. First, Al-Khidr damaged a boat belonging to poor fishermen, and Moses, unable to contain himself, questioned why he would do such a thing to people who were already struggling. Then Al-Khidr killed a young boy without any apparent reason, and Moses, horrified, demanded an explanation. Finally, Al-Khidr rebuilt a wall in a town whose inhabitants had refused them hospitality, and once again Moses questioned the logic of this act. After the third question, Al-Khidr declared that their journey together had come to an end, but before parting ways, he revealed the hidden wisdom behind each of his actions. The damaged boat, he explained, belonged to poor people who made their living on the sea, and there was a tyrannical king who was seizing every functional boat by force. By damaging the boat, Al-Khidr saved it from being confiscated, and the owners would later be able to repair it and continue their livelihood. The young boy, Al-Khidr revealed, would have grown up to be a source of great grief and disbelief for his righteous parents. So Allah, in His mercy, took the boy's life and would replace him with a better child. And the wall that Al-Khidr rebuilt belonged to two orphan boys whose father had been a righteous man, and beneath the wall was a treasure that was meant for them. Had the wall collapsed, the townspeople would have discovered the treasure and taken it, leaving the orphans with nothing. By repairing the wall, Al-Khidr ensured that the treasure would remain hidden until the boys were old enough to claim it. This story is a profound lesson in divine wisdom and the limits of human understanding. What appears to be an injustice or a mistake may in reality be part of a greater plan that we cannot see. But the reason Al-Khidr is among the 7 who will never die is not fully explained in the Quran. Islamic tradition and scholarly interpretation suggest that Al-Khidr has been granted an extraordinarily long life, perhaps even immortality in the conventional sense, because of a unique role he plays in guiding and assisting those whom Allah chooses. There are numerous reports throughout Islamic history of righteous individuals encountering a mysterious figure who provided them with guidance, assistance, or knowledge at critical moments, and many of these encounters have been attributed to Al-Khidr. Some scholars believe that he continues to wander the earth, unseen by most, appearing to those in need of divine intervention or wisdom. Others suggest that he exists in a state between the physical and spiritual realms, moving freely in ways that ordinary humans cannot. What is clear is that Al-Khidr's existence is tied to the unfolding of Allah's plan, and until that plan reaches its completion on the Day of Judgment, he will remain alive. The third figure is Ilyas, known in the Bible as Elijah, peace be upon him. Like Al-Khidr, the details of Ilyas's continued existence are not extensively elaborated in the Quran, but Islamic tradition holds that he too was taken up by Allah and remains alive. In the biblical tradition, Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, riding a chariot of fire, and he never experienced death. Islamic scholars have adopted a similar understanding, viewing Ilyas as a prophet who was removed from the earth in a miraculous way and preserved by divine will. The Quran mentions Ilyas in Surah As-Safat, praising him as one of the righteous messengers who called his people to worship Allah alone and abandoned the false deity they had been worshipping. His people, the Israelites of his time, had fallen into idolatry, worshipping a god named Baal, and Ilyas courageously stood against them, warning them of the consequences of their disbelief. Despite facing persecution and rejection, he remained steadfast in his mission. The reason for Ilyas's preservation is believed to be similar to that of Al-Khidr. He serves a purpose in the divine plan that extends beyond the ordinary lifespan of a human being. Some traditions suggest that Ilyas and Al-Khidr are companions, traveling together in their mission to guide and assist the believers. There are even narrations that describe them meeting every year during the Hajj season, unseen by the pilgrims, to perform their own acts of worship. Whether these accounts are literal or symbolic is a matter of scholarly debate, but the underlying message is clear. Ilyas is alive, and his life is sustained by the will of Allah for reasons that only the divine wisdom fully comprehends. His story reminds us that the prophets are not merely historical figures, they are living realities whose influence and existence continue in ways that transcend our ordinary understanding of time and space. The fourth person who will never see death is Idris, known as Enoch in the biblical tradition, peace be upon him. Idris is one of the earliest prophets mentioned in the Quran, and his story is shrouded in mystery. The Quran says in Surah Maryam verse 56 to 57, "And mention in the book Idris, indeed he was a man of truth and a prophet, and we raised him to a high station." This phrase, "raised him to a high station," has been interpreted by scholars to mean that Idris was taken up to the heavens while still alive, much like Prophet Isa. Islamic tradition describes Idris as a man of great knowledge and piety, one of the first human beings to write with a pen and to study the sciences of astronomy and mathematics. He is said to have lived during a time when humanity was still in its early stages, and he used his God-given intellect to guide people toward righteousness and to teach them the laws of Allah. There is a famous narration that describes how Idris was taken up to the heavens. According to this account, Idris asked the angel of death to let him experience death so that he could understand what his people would one day go through. The angel of death agreed, but under one condition: Idris would have to be taken up to the heavens first. So, Idris was carried up through the layers of the heavens by an angel, and during this journey he met the angel of death in the fourth heaven. The angel of death was surprised to see Idris there, because he had been commanded to take Idris's soul in the fourth heaven, yet Idris had been on earth just moments before. At that very moment, the angel of death fulfilled the command and took Idris's soul in the fourth heaven, which means that Idris never technically died on earth. This narration is found in various Islamic sources and is used to explain why Idris is considered one of those who will never see death in the conventional sense. His soul was taken in the heavens, and his status remains unique among the prophets. The fifth individual is one of the most beloved figures in Islamic eschatology, Al-Mahdi. Now, this is where things become both fascinating and complex, because the identity and status of Al-Mahdi have been debated among scholars for centuries. According to mainstream Sunni belief, Al-Mahdi has not yet been born. He will appear in the future as a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad through his daughter Fatima and his grandson Hassan. He will emerge during a time of great turmoil and injustice, and he will unite the Muslim world under a just and righteous leadership, filling the earth with justice as it had been filled with oppression. However, in Shia Islamic tradition, particularly among the Twelver Shia, Al-Mahdi is believed to have already been born in the year 869 CE. His name is Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Askari, and he is considered the 12th and final Imam in the line of the Prophet's family. According to this belief, Al-Mahdi went into a state of occultation, or hiding, in the year 941 CE, and he has remained alive and hidden ever since, waiting for the appointed time when Allah will command him to reappear and fulfill his mission. This concept of occultation is central to Twelver Shia theology. It holds that Al-Mahdi is not dead, but rather living in a miraculous state, unseen by ordinary people, sustained by divine power, and guiding the believers in subtle and unseen ways. The belief is that he is aware of what happens in the world, and he prays for the believers and watches over the Muslim community, even though he cannot be physically seen or contacted. When the time comes, when the earth is filled with corruption and injustice, and when humanity is on the brink of despair, Al-Mahdi will emerge, accompanied by Prophet Isa, and together they will lead the final battle against falsehood. The appearance of Al-Mahdi is considered one of the major signs of the Day of Judgment, and his role is crucial in the restoration of truth and the preparation of humanity for the end of time. Whether one believes he is already alive and hidden, or that he will be born in the future, the fact remains that Al-Mahdi is destined to live until the very end, and he will not die until his mission is complete. The sixth person who will never see death is one of the most controversial and misunderstood figures in Islamic eschatology, the Dajjal, the false Messiah. Now, before we go any further, it's important to clarify that the Dajjal is not a figure of righteousness. He is the embodiment of evil and deception. But the reason he is included in this list is because Islamic tradition teaches that the Dajjal is already alive, bound and imprisoned, waiting for the time when he will be released to wreak havoc on the earth. He will travel the earth at extraordinary speed, visiting every place except Mecca and Medina, which will be protected by angels. His reign of terror will last for 40 days, one day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week, and the rest like normal days. And during this time he will deceive countless people into following him. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that there is no tribulation greater than the tribulation of the Dajjal from the time of Adam until the Day of Judgment. But why is the Dajjal alive now, and where is he? There is a famous hadith narrated by Tamim ad-Dari, a companion of the Prophet, in which he describes an encounter with a mysterious creature on an island. Tamim and a group of sailors were lost at sea and ended up on an island where they met a strange, hairy beast who directed them to a man chained in a monastery. This chained man asked them questions about the Prophet Muhammad, about the date palms of Baisan, and about the Lake of Tiberias, and when they answered, he declared that he was the Dajjal and that his release was near. The Prophet Muhammad confirmed the truth of this story and told his companions that this was indeed the Dajjal, imprisoned on an island, waiting for the appointed time. So, the Dajjal is alive, he is chained, and he is waiting, and when the time comes, he will be released to test humanity in ways that we cannot fully imagine. His existence, though terrifying, is part of the divine plan, and his eventual defeat at the hands of Prophet Isa will mark the triumph of truth over deception. The seventh and final person who will never see death is another figure from Islamic tradition, though his identity is the subject of much debate and speculation. Some scholars believe this seventh figure is one of the Ansar, the helpers who supported the Prophet when he migrated to Medina, and there are narrations that suggest a specific individual was blessed with the promise of a prolonged life. Others believe that the seventh figure could be one of the righteous servants of Allah who has been granted an extended lifespan for a purpose known only to the divine wisdom. There are even those who suggest that the number 7 is symbolic rather than literal, representing a category of individuals rather than a fixed count. What is clear from the various narrations and scholarly discussions is that there are indeed individuals who have been preserved by Allah, whose lives extend far beyond the normal human lifespan, and who will remain until the final days of this world. These individuals serve as living signs of Allah's power and mercy, reminding us that the laws of nature are entirely subject to the will of the Creator. These 7 individuals are not merely characters in ancient stories. They are active participants in a divine drama that is still unfolding. Their existence challenges our understanding of life and death, of time and eternity, and of the boundaries between the seen and the unseen worlds. They remind us that this world is not the final reality, that there are dimensions of existence beyond what our senses can perceive, and that the ultimate truth will only be revealed on the day of judgment. For those who believe, these figures are a source of hope and reassurance. Hope that justice will prevail, that truth will triumph, and that no matter how dark the world becomes, Allah's plan is always in motion. For those who are skeptical, these accounts raise profound questions about the nature of faith, the limits of human knowledge, and the possibility of realities that transcend our everyday experience. The concept of individuals who live beyond the normal human lifespan is not unique to Islam. It appears in various forms across many religious and mythological traditions. In Christianity, the belief in the bodily assumption of Mary and the continued life of Elijah reflects similar themes. In Jewish tradition, there are accounts of Enoch being taken up to heaven and of Elijah's ascension. In Hindu mythology, there are the Chiranjeevi, the 7 immortals who are believed to remain alive through the ages. What makes the Islamic understanding distinctive is the integration of these figures into a coherent eschatological narrative, a narrative that explains not only who they are, but why they have been preserved and what role they will play in the unfolding of the final events before the Day of Judgment. Understanding these 7 figures also requires us to grapple with some of the most challenging questions in theology and philosophy. What does it mean to be alive but not present in the ordinary world? What is the nature of time for someone who has lived for centuries or millennia? How do these individuals experience consciousness, memory, and purpose over such vast stretches of existence? Islamic scholars have approached these questions with a combination of textual analysis, rational inquiry, and humble acknowledgement of the limits of human understanding. Some have suggested that these individuals exist in a state similar to that of the Barzakh, the realm between death and resurrection, where the normal rules of physical existence do not fully apply. Others have proposed that they are sustained by a continuous act of divine will, much like the way Allah sustains all of creation from moment to moment, but in a more direct and miraculous way. What is certain is that these 7 figures are waiting for the moment when the signs of the end times will become undeniable, when the world will be thrown into chaos, and when the final chapters of human history will be written. When that time comes, these individuals will step forward from their hidden places and fulfill the roles that have been appointed for them since the beginning. Prophet Isa will descend and lead the believers in the final confrontation with evil. Al-Mahdi will unite the Muslim world and establish justice on earth. Al-Khidr and Ilyas will continue their unseen mission of guidance and support. Idris will stand as a testament to the elevation of the human soul. The Dajjal will be unleashed to test humanity in the greatest trial it has ever faced. And the 7th figure, whoever he is, will fulfill a purpose that perhaps only Allah fully understands. For us, living in the present moment, the existence of these 7 figures serves as a powerful reminder that we are part of a much larger story, a story that began long before we were born and will continue long after we are gone. It reminds us that the unseen world is just as real as the world we can touch and see, and that the ultimate reality is not found in the material things that occupy most of our attention, but in the eternal truths that govern all of existence. It challenges us to live with a sense of purpose and urgency, knowing that the time we have on this earth is limited, and that the choices we make today will echo into eternity. It calls us to seek knowledge, to question, to explore, and to never stop searching for the truth, even when that truth takes us into realms that are mysterious and difficult to comprehend. The story of these 7 individuals is ultimately a story about faith. Faith in the unseen, faith in the divine wisdom, and faith in the promise that no matter how chaotic or unjust the world may seem, there is a plan, and that plan will be fulfilled. It is a story that has been told and retold for over 14 centuries, passed down from generation to generation, and it continues to inspire, challenge, and comfort believers around the world. Whether you accept these accounts as literal truth, as symbolic teachings, or as open questions worthy of further investigation, there is no denying the profound impact they have had on Islamic thought, culture, and spirituality. So, the next time you find yourself wondering about the nature of life and death, about the purpose of existence, or about the mysteries that lie beyond the veil of the material world, remember the 7 people who will never see death until Judgment Day. Remember Prophet Isa, waiting in the heavens to return and restore justice. Remember Al-Khidr, wandering the earth with divine knowledge. Remember Ilyas, the steadfast prophet preserved for a purpose. Remember Idris, elevated to the heavens in a miraculous ascension. Remember Al-Mahdi, hidden and waiting for the appointed time. Remember the Dajjal, chained and preparing for the greatest test. And remember the 7th figure, whose identity remains a mystery, but whose existence is no less real. These 7 are living signs of Allah's power, mercy, and wisdom, and their stories are a gift to all of us, a gift that invites us to see beyond the surface of things, to question what we think we know, and to place our trust in the one who knows all and sees all. Thank you for watching, and may you continue to seek knowledge, question deeply, and grow in understanding. If this video opened your mind to new ideas or strengthened your faith, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Until next time, keep searching for the truth, because the truth is always worth finding.